welcome to the first episode of Discover with Rujira. And I'm here together with Dennis, Patriot Sons, and with GP. We are going to cover today a bit of the fundamentals of why we are here, effectively, and discuss why we are building Rujira and talk a bit more about our mission of creating this fair financial ecosystem that blockchain technology allows us to do. So let's dive in.
Hello. Yeah, hello everybody. I think this will be a great format. Every week we're going to cover what you can do here, starting with today, why we are here, what you can do with Rujira and why it's great, and happy to be here guiding this conversation a little bit and having these two beautiful people giving their insights, asking the questions and giving the answers.
What's going on, you guys? An equally beautiful person that JP is. Patriot Sounds with THORChain, and I love Rujira. I think Rujira is an incredible advancement. It's going to change everything, but I don't know everything, so I'm going to be asking questions because I am not the expert that these two gentlemen are. So I am so excited. Let's go, boys.
Let's go.
Let's go. So, today. We're going to start a little bit more easy. We're not directly jumping into the products, but we want to talk a little bit about why we are here, right? So, PM, when you think back, I mean, Rujira has its history, but yeah, where does this all started for you, for us as a team? If you think a little.
Well, so as a team, it really started about building something that levels the playing field. That was the point. And in the very early days, Hans at the time, we knew he was a great engineer already, but he was on board to build something on blockchain only if this was not going to be yet another of those vaporware setups where you are just looking to create some hype and extract value from participants without bringing anything really new or without building any real product at all, as we see repeatedly in this space. So the view was always that, and I think it was very much effectively in line with the ethos of what Bitcoin was created in the first place and why crypto appeared. And so the first product, sorry, just to go back to this question, it was THORChain and what it brings. THORChain was a liquidation engine. It got plugged into Anchor on Terra. So at the time where Terra was thriving and growing very fast, and Anchor was effectively allowing people to borrow against their asset, mostly Luna. Unfortunately, it ended up badly. But then it was using a system of loan, CDP system, like most other DeFi platform that offer leverage. But the issue with this system in all other platforms and in centralized exchange, it's even worse, it's even more of a dark box, is that when you get liquidated, so you have collateral at a certain value, and if the value drops below a certain level compared to the value of your loan, you can get liquidated. The issue is participating in this liquidation is so critical to keep the system solvent, but usually nobody can participate. It's typically the team operating the protocol or the centralized exchange, if you're on the centralized exchange, that will liquidate you at a steep discount compared to the current market value of your assets. And you will have this instant arbitrage where, so typically on-chain will be done inside the block via MEV pot operators, and you will buy the collateral at a steep discount, sell it on the market and at market value, and capture the profits and arbitrage profits. And it's a great way to make money when markets are going down, but because of the mechanic of it, it means that first there is no competition for those markets, so you can have an arbitrary discount that you enforce on users that get liquidated, and you get to only a few people that know the tech very well and have the skills to participate get to liquidate and capture those profits. And so what Rujira did at the time was really changing the game and allowing everyone to participate into that via a Dutch auction mechanism, where anybody could come via a simple user interface and say, oh, if your ETH go below get liquidated, I'm willing to buy it at 3% discount to the market price. And another guy will be, I'm willing to buy it at 5%. Maybe another guy will say, buy it at 10%. And then you have a queue that is formed. It's a Dutch auction mechanism, we call that. And the bid get filled from the lowest discount to the highest discount. And so it creates a competition for buying those collateral, liquidated collateral, which means it's great not only for everyone who can participate and buy discounted ETH, Bitcoin, or whatever collateral you're liquidating at a local low at a discount. It's also great for people who get liquidated, because given this creates a competitive market for those liquidated collateral, you also get liquidated at a lower cost. So that was a beautiful first start from Rujira, and then from Rujira at the time, and then it expanded to Rujira with the move to THORChain, and now it's we are coming back to this core philosophy of just trying really to level the playing field and create a system that is fair for everyone, and not just in liquidation. Liquidation is of course a key pieces into the system, but also across everything else we build.
Yeah, that's kind of, for me, first of all, why I'm here. This is exactly that, right? I want an even playing field. I don't want to have an advantage, but I want to have the same chance that everybody else in the ecosystem. I love the free market. I love what you can achieve with the free market, but one rule of the free market is basically that you need to have a playing field that is fair, right? And so that's why we're here. And when I was talking to Hans in the past, to you, and how this all developed, that's why crypto started, right? We put it here on the slide. Bitcoin sparked this movement, a fair financial system that went on then coming, like being automated or not automated, but enhanced with Ethereum coming up. And that's kind of the time when Hans went really straight into DeFi, right? For a long time, was building and looking at the space, coming up with all these great ideas. But then, as you say, basically, we how you can say, like we went a step back. So we lost sight of what made crypto so promising, because usually you have the big important players that try to manipulate again and get an edge for themselves because it's the free market, and that's okay. But that's why it needs people like us pushing back, communities like us, valuing the real core values of DeFi and of freedom of finance. And that's why I personally think it's super important what we build here. And we will see over the next weeks what that means in terms of products. But from the vision, that's why I'm here. But Patriot, your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with all. I think that was well said. And then Pragmatic Monkey mentioned the liquidation thing. I mean, that's huge, right? Like, people now can bid for this, whereas this was just something that only centralized exchange and centralized players could offer. I don't remember what the margin, like how much of the profits, a percentage of profits people get, or the centralized platforms get from liquidations, but it's quite substantial. And so if we're able to homogenize this in the market, then that is just such a power up. And you said it perfectly, JP, like, you love the free market, but right now the market's not free. There are points of access that are not there for the ordinary average person. And that's the beautiful thing about Rujira. It equalizes everything and gives everyone a fair shot, just like you eloquently said. So this is so huge. And like this slide says, I mean, Bitcoin was the beginning, but we had to make a lot of coping mechanisms. We had centralized exchanges. We were limited by the time and by the technology, but that's no longer the case. That's no longer the case. So I am so excited, you guys. This is so huge.
That's really no longer the case, right? We are, and this is why, I mean, you have THORChain in the name. THORChain is what makes this possible, right? You have a system that does not need a centralized intermediary. You have a system where you can go, where you can access liquidity in all, like, from all possible ecosystems, and in the future probably from everywhere. KYC less, without centralization risk, anything, right? You can do DeFi from wherever you want, with whatever asset you want, where you feel comfortable, and nobody else is going to tell you yes or no.
For the audience who listening who may not be familiar, I mean, when THORChain was being built, we did not envision necessarily the app layer Rujira. It is a manifestation of what we built and the realization of what we could do together. And so this is an amazing team up between Rujira and THORChain, and it's exactly where the technology needs to go. We want to build something like this. We didn't know how to do it, but now we do, and it is so unbelievably exciting. I can't emphasize how excited I am.
And maybe I'm coming back on the first part of a bit of the philosophy of Bitcoin and why it was created in the first place and what all of that is so important. Bitcoin was created toward, like, it was in 2009, I believe, 2008-9, just after the big global financial crisis we had in 07-08. And the view was really like, it was this quote in the first Bitcoin blog, the Genesis blog, about Chancellor on the brink of bankruptcy, about the bailout of banks following the liquidity crunch in the global markets. And the idea of Bitcoin was really to try to separate money from the state. That was a key fundamental stuff. The same way that centuries ago we had the church and the states were part of the same thing. And the more you give powers to a centralized entity, no matter how well-intentioned they are, humans are corruptible, and particularly humans that tend to be attracted by position and powers and wanted to be in the spotlight and control things. And it tends to create a society where whoever is closer to the power gets to benefit himself and people close to him disproportionately at the cost for everybody else. And that was true with the church and the state, and that is true with today with money and the states and central banks, which are a proxy of central governments. And the idea of effectively having a financial system that enrich a few participants when things goes well, but use citizen funds to bail out the same participants instead of letting them go bankrupt when things goes wrong, was the spark that inspired Satoshi to create Bitcoin. And that was big. And the idea was to create this new alternative financial system that is independent from the state, that is censorship resistant, nobody can stop it, that is permissionless, everybody can participate, no matter where you are on the planet, no matter who you are, you don't need to ask for permission. And that was like two key property of the system, but it's also a very important point if you put it into the context of monetary debasement. So you have the abuse of the use of credits by banks and financial institutions, but this is very much built into our fiat currency system, which only come into existence in the form of debt. And the reality is that we like to think that fiat money is backed by something, and the discretor of Bitcoin will say, oh, it's backed by nothing, it's just electronic. It's exactly the same thing with fiat money. It's only backed by the trust that people have into governments and the fact that governments have a monopoly on violence and can enforce you to pay your tax in your local fiat currency. If you don't, you can be taxed, further taxed in the form of fine, and potentially arrested and put into jail. So this monopoly of violence is what effectively gives value, is enforced onto citizens to give value to this otherwise just completely fictive way of measuring wealth. And the issue is you can expand the quantity of money, of fiat money, the quantity of dollars, quantity of euro in the system, as much as you want when you are a government by effectively writing check, and those checks are debited from an account that doesn't need to have any cash on it. It just creates new money in the form of debt, and you can spend it in the real economy. Or if you are a commercial bank or a central bank, you can also, in the same way, create money by just creating new accounts with more debt. And there is nothing backing that. And the impact on that, on all of us, is that if you increase the quantity of dollar in the system, let's say at the beginning of the year, there was $100 in the system. I had $1, Patriot had $1, and GP had $1. So we each own 1% of the total pie. And then because I'm very close to the money printer, I decided for whatever reason to fund XYZ that I'm going to create another $100. And now there's $200 in the system. But GP and Patriot who works hard, they are not going to get an extra $1 each to match their proportional share of the wealth. No, I'm just going to give them, hey, I'm going to give you a 10 cents increase, Patriot, and GP a 5 cents increase this year. And be happy because it's higher than last year. But in reality, you just got diluted. And now what I have on my side, instead of having $2, I actually took your share as well. So I now have $3 or $2.85. And those $2.85, they are just fictive. They are not backed by anything. So if you use that to measure assets that are infinite supply, like real estate, like stocks of companies, so equity or commodities, then now you have the same quantity of gold on the planet, but you have 2 times more dollars. So each unit of gold is going to be worth twice as much. It's the same for real estate. Now the same house, exactly same size, same place, actually should be worth less over time because it depreciates in value, but it keeps increasing, going up and up just because we increase the quantity of money in the system. And that creates a system where effectively people who have assets get richer and richer just because of this denominator effect. You don't get diluted because most of your wealth is stored in something that has a finite supply. But people, so whether you're on real estate or equity, you are good. But people who don't get diluted, and it's becoming harder and harder to catch up. And that's why you know this meme of my parents in their 30s and me in my 30s, and you see the parents with a kid and a nice little house, and the guy in the 30s in the basement with a horrible face and no girlfriend and no house. Well, that's the reality just because of monetary debasement. Even when we tend to think that those things impact only a country like Argentina or some African country with poor governance and high inflation, but it's actually the exact same stuff, just a bit more discreet in our Western economies. And that's really, in my view, a big reason, the main reason why we see more and more polarization in society, and people who are not happy, and people who feel like they are being screwed, and generation who feel that they don't have the same fair shot at having a good life than the previous generation. It's all come back to this flow in the monetary design, where a few people can increase the quantity of money, and whoever on asset and is close to this to have access to debt, effectively to lever up and buy even more assets, get an unfair advantage and can get this compounding effect with their wealth to the detriment of all the others. And so like free markets are amazing if they are not flooded. If they really give a fair shot. It's supposed to be based on meritocracy. If you work hard, the American dream, you work hard, you wake up in the morning, you do what you have to do, and if you are good, you should be rewarded. And reality is you can work super hard and do whatever you want to do. If you start with such a disadvantage and you are not in a position where you either had a lot of assets or inherited or whatever, it's going to be exponentially harder for you to ever catch up. Like, of course, you will have a 1 in a billion person that create a multi-trillion startup, but that's the one you will see on TV and everybody will cheer after. But that's just a very, very abnormally, if you look at the total number of humans on the planet. So that's really very much, I think, the other side of the coin. It's also being able to create a system where we are not enforce this invisible tax, that is monetary debasement, that come from government and central banks and at the cost of citizens. So on top of being taxed on our income and our capital gains, we are also being taxed invisibly in the form of devaluation. And that's very key in my view. And that's Bitcoin is a great invention because it fixes that, but Bitcoin itself doesn't give you access to all the tools to be able to have a financial life completely outside the traditional banking system, like things like being able to trade, to buy and sell assets, being able to take loans, be able to liquidate, being able to fundraise capital, all those things. And those are all the different core primitives we are building, and with Bitcoin at the center, and all other assets from all other connected chain as well.
Yeah, we will come back to that to the end to give an outlook. But I want to ask you both. We were speaking about one side of the coin now, but how are we as Rujira and THORChain fixing it? Why are we making it equal for everyone? And how are we giving the ownership to the people?
Well, I guess I can try and take that one. So for the first time in human history, as Pragmatic Monkey eloquently described, Bitcoin came into existence, which basically removed the centralized power of the state to control the monetary system. This is the very first beginning. It's like a lighthouse in the fog for a ship, right? You can see it. Now we're going towards that. And with THORChain, which THORChain, all it really is swaps, right? We have cool things we can do with swaps. There's different elements, you can do streaming swaps, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's core rock solid infrastructure that facilitates swaps. It's native pools of each layer one assets like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Doge, AVAX, Binance Smart Chain, blah, blah, blah. So many. It's what we can build on top of that now. And when you have a decentralized pool where you can access liquidity, again, no KYC, which means kill your customer, and permissionlessly, that is so important. And with Rujira now can build primitives on top of THORChain, and then you can do things like Pragmatic Monkey was saying, lending, money markets, perps, anything you can imagine. It's being built right now. And this is what's going to help emancipate the world. And this absolutely needs to happen because Pragmatic Monkey's right. I mean, the purchasing power of everyone's money has gone down. Everyone suffers. And that's why on this call right now, you have 3 men from 3 different parts of the world talking to each other because we all are going through the same thing. Whether it's us or you listening to this, whether it's live or the recording, all of us have the same life arc. We've all experienced our fiat currency getting utterly obliterated. That's over. We're changing that. And that's what Rujira and THORChain does. It gives all the DeFi primitives that do not require any centralized players that anyone in the world can access, protecting them from their own state. That's the dream. That's the holy grail. I'll kick it to you, Pragmatic Monkey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could not agree more. And in terms of how we do things differently, so I think one of the core premises, it's all open source and transparent, which means the rules of the game, anybody that can read code, but now with AI, actually, anybody can come and read and see what the rules are. And those rules, very importantly, because we build on blockchain rails, they are enforced. Nobody can cheat those rules. And that's very key because we are moving effectively from a model, a traditional governance societal model, where everything relies on trust. And that's why we have also like a court system, because when there is 2 parties that are like, you have to trust every time, you have to trust your government is going to do what they are supposed to do. They are going to follow the law that have been in place as they are supposed to. And there is always some fugazi, some room for interpretation in laws, and that's by design. So some people who can pay good lawyer can avoid those laws. And again, it creates some unfairness. Here, we transition from a model based on trust and with the rule of law as and court system to try to enforce trust and be the intermediary when there is an unclear situation, which is at the end, it was a very good system versus a total anarchy where people were just enforcing their choice by violence. If you go back to when we are cavemen, so it was an improvement, but we can certainly do better than that. And the next iteration of that is to use technology and blockchain technology to move from a system based on trust to a system based on code. We believe in the rule of math, the rule of code, and everything is codified. And this code executes the same way for everyone. The blockchain doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care. Every block, it keeps repeating and executing the rules the same way for everybody. And those rules are transparent, and everybody can check them, and they are unbreakables. And then everybody can access those products. It's permissionless. That's also the other key there. So as Patrick was saying, no KYC, no like KYC at the end, like a lot of people like to say, we know better. We can decide if this guy is a good guy or this guy is a bad guy, and we can decide, because you were born in this country, you are not allowed to use X or Y system. Actually, that's in my view like a very bad framing. First, it's very arrogant to think that we know better. Like, who are we to know better? Everybody thinks that they know better. So actually, there is no actual know better. It's just different point of view. But also, like, if you think, I don't know, even like if you go to countries like North Korea or whatever, if you cut those people from accessing a fair financial ecosystem, you are not serving those people. You are actually serving the regimes that control those people. You are serving the authoritarians that prevent those people from being free and that are forced into playing by those rules because they have a monopoly on violence. If you suddenly you give those people tools to extract themselves from this system and allow them to have just a normal life, work internationally, and make sure that any assets they earn, they can keep that from themselves. Nobody can, from the government, can confiscate them, or of course, you always have the risk that somebody comes to your door and force, like by violence, take your private key. But it's still like a much bigger improvement, and it would be hard for an authoritarian state to enforce that on every citizen. So it's actually a tool for everyone, even if you are like in a country ruled by dictators that empower freedom and weaken strong central government. So it's a very key stuff. So it's permissionless. Everybody can use it without permission. And the last part is on the ownership. That's also the other beauty of it. Like, via the same blockchain technology, you can buy the token. You can buy the THORChain token if you want exposure to THORChain. You can buy the Rujira token if you want exposure to Rujira. And with Rujira, it's really like you own, when you own a Rujira token, you own a share of ownership in the system. And the system is built to be economically sustainable. So also service, they have a very small fee. It's very small compared to what you would pay in the traditional financial system, because that's also the beauty of smart contracts. It allows you to create very efficient systems. Once they are live on the blockchain running, the cost of operation is super low, and the number of people you need to maintain that is very, very low compared to a traditional corporation, which means like the profit margin are much, much higher. Effectively, revenue equal profits. There is no intermediary. And you can own a share of this profit. All the revenue is distributed to the stackers. There is a profit share with THORChain, so you can get exposure on both sides. But if you're on Rujira, like, you get all those fees pro rata to your ownership of Rujira that you stack versus other people owning that. And anybody can buy this token and own a share of this platform, participate early, and get a chance to capture a share of those cash flow at perpetuity. So you could think of it, if blockchains are effectively like digital nation states, it allows you to own a share of the economy of this digital nation state. And that's very powerful, because, well, you cannot share in companies today, but there are like a lot of different, well, you have also a lot of different blockchain, but there are a lot of different companies, and you have to pick the winner. It's very complicated. Here with Rujira, we put everything under one umbrella, and you get a share of the entire economy. All the economic activities that happen accrue value to the token, and you get a share of that. And the other thing is, in the traditional world, not everyone can buy equity. You will have restriction. You need to be a accredited investor if you want to participate in early stage stuff. Like, all the designs, the system is designed to favoritize people who are close, who already have wealth and are close to the circle of power and plugged into this financial ecosystem. And that's why you have concepts like accredited investor, for example. It's to always governments always under the pretense of protecting you do all sorts of restriction on you. So you cannot freely like invest in a startup. You need to you can only invest if you have a net worth which is already at 1 million and an annual income that is already 250K per year. It's completely crazy. Like, it's not because I'm making less money than you, or I'm less wealthy, and I'm stupid and I don't have a brain. I cannot decide for myself. Like, everybody should be able to do whatever they want with their capital, and if they want to take risk and participate early, that's also the way they can increase their chance of making smart bets and catching up with the wealth gap. So thanks to blockchain technology, you can very simply own a share of this new ecosystem, and anybody can do it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very nice summary, right? Like, THORChain and Rujira building this ecosystem of truly distributed, fair finance that you can earn and you can own, not earn, a share of it in different levels, either via Rune or via Ruji, earning fees on different levels of this ecosystem. But I want to go a little bit, try a different angle here, which is basically why, like one thing is we are building that, but why is it attractive to use? And I think the biggest point here is really what THORChain enables Rujira, which is the connection, right? Like you can basically do DeFi, like I said in the beginning, not only with the asset you want, but you can also do it from where you want. So one big part of this is not only making the system fair, so you can do it fair trade, for example, but ensuring that while the funds are moving, they are never getting into illicit hands, centralized custodians, and so on, right? So yeah, I think just give your thoughts around this, why, and perhaps also PM, you can give a comment like why Hans, Brad, you guys decided to build on top of THORChain basically to make this happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. So yeah, that's a really great question. So, you know, the beautiful thing here is that this is real layer one, right? So we start at THORChain, and a lot of people think of, you know, bridges, right? THORChain is literally on the layer one native blockchain. A bridge, conventionally, you can play a game of semantics, but it's like an intermediary application layer that tries to seek consensus on two different blockchains. And that's how they move funds, right? THORChain literally has daemons on BTC, on Litecoin, on Doge, on Ethereum, on all the support chains that we have, on Tron, on soon Solana, right? And it's real layer one that's moving, okay? With Rujira, what happens is you have a native layer one like Bitcoin, because as Pragmatic Monkey said in the very beginning, you're very limited in what you can do with Bitcoin. It doesn't have a lot of utility, but we are leveling it up essentially, right? You take that Bitcoin, and the counterparty is THORChain, of course, and you make a secured asset. And then you use that secured asset to do all the things that you want to do when it comes to DeFi, giving you a whole plethora of new tools at your disposal. And that's the key thing. Control and freedom, like JP said. You maintain control of the asset. It's only tied to the address that which you deposited your BTC, okay? And as you do things, that's how, you know, Rujira makes its slice of bread, and then THORChain gets a cut of that as well. But the power of this cannot be understated. Unlike a centralized exchange where you have to send your assets to a central party where you surrender custody and you are given an IOU representation of your asset, and you really don't know the solvency of the centralized exchange anytime, Rujira is completely different, as well as THORChain. Everything can be observed at any point. This is the huge 0 to 1, is where there is no hidden intermediary layer. There's no hidden ledger. There's no hidden anything. Everything, and I do mean everything, will be on chain, will be fully auditable as it was supposed to be. As Pragmatic Monkey said, the idea of an accredited investor is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's essentially the government protecting you from success. They don't want you to be too successful. You can take your entire paycheck and you can go dump it on lottery tickets, guaranteed virtual loss, but you can't make an early investment in a stock. You apparently don't. They're protecting you from that. This is ludicrous. It is ridiculous. The financial system that we all currently are suffering under is obsolete. And I have one more point, and I'm going to kick it to Pragmatic Monkey. I said earlier that KYC means kill your customer. I want to explain that a little bit because that's a little bit of shock value. There is a story in New York where two detectives found somebody with crypto, and they tortured that individual for their seed phrase. This is law enforcement. We need to stop this from happening. So if I'm a bad guy and I interact with JP and I'm selling something, JP uses Bitcoin to buy it. If I know JP now, I know what address it was. I'll know every transaction he made prior, and I'll know every transaction he made thereafter, right? And so 5 years down the line, if I'm a bad guy, I might see as BTC, I'll know who it is, right? We have to end this. And Rujira and THORChain are the solution. I'm going to kick it to you, Pragmatic Monkey.
Yeah, I think that was a great summary. And yeah, effectively, on the custody front, it's incredible what THORChain Tech has built and what it allows us to do using those native assets. If you want to put your Bitcoin at work today, because Bitcoin chain doesn't have smart contract capabilities, your only way is either you use a centralized exchange. So what Patrick was saying is effectively you give your Bitcoin to some centralized entities that can freeze them, that can lose them, that can double spend them. You don't know, and we have had like billions lost in centralized exchange hack or scam. You never know because it's all a black box. And when you do that, you expose yourself to ton of risk, and you are exactly doing the opposite of what blockchain is supposed to bring us, create this purely decentralized, permissionless, censorship-resistant ecosystem. And then the alternative to that is to move your Bitcoin to an EVM chain or to Solana. But to do that, it's the same thing again. Like most of the Bitcoin you use in DeFi is on EVM chains, and it's wrapped BTC, WBTC. And now you have also CBBTC from Coinbase. And what is wrapped BTC? It's again, effectively, you have a centralized intermediary, BitGo in that case, that will take your Bitcoin, put it in a wallet, and then issue you an IOU on Ethereum. And at any time, if BitGo decides, they can either freeze your assets or refuse to you the right to redeem for native Bitcoin, or they could double spend, or they could get their security system compromised and lose the Bitcoin. And that's again not the solution. So you have to, again, you put back a trusted centralized intermediary in the equation. And you have a few options now, Coinbase doing the same with CBBTC, but that's really, again, not what DeFi is supposed to be. And with THORChain, we can do that. Use native Bitcoin, native Sol, native ETH, native AVAX. And that's also the big thing, because right now, it's only possible to use all those different assets from different chains on a centralized exchange in a convenient way. Otherwise, you have to, again, use those bridges, and you will not have everything, and it's a mess. And THORChain is really this central hubs that connect all those chains, remove the need for any centralized intermediary or third-party bridges, and allow us to use not just assets from one specific chain, but actually any of the chains that are connected to THORChain. So that's very, very powerful. And the other side of that is, because THORChain is available with wallets from all those connected chains, what we are building is effectively a way for people from any of those connected chains to come with their own wallets and connect and use all those products with all those assets, all from the same place in a very smooth user experience.
Yeah, I think this is what I want to say. The extent of what THORChain is building as an infrastructure provider is what Rujira and what we are building as a user-facing product which is the omni-chain experience, right? And this is something, and just for me to emphasize for the community and for everybody listening, to get this right is extremely difficult. And it can only be done via iteration. Building great products is always an iterative process. You need to start somewhere. And based on the feedback of this great community that we have, you can build a product, you can steer the way, you can add things, you can remove things, you can change things so that the experience ultimately is the best possible. But the people like us, the developers, we never know before what will be the best experience, because we are only a fraction of the user base that we want to attract, right? And this is, I think, what we will be seeing in the next weeks, and I'm very particularly excited for that. We, and here a shout out to Erudite who came up with this idea. We have changed the way Rujira is handling assets from handling them chain agnostic, so that you need to know I have a balance of Bitcoin on Bitcoin and I have a balance of Bitcoin on THORChain, and we will be aggregating them, taking that complexity completely away, so that you come to Rujira, you have your Bitcoin wallet, you connect your wallet, and you will always know what you need to do. So if you have too less of Bitcoin on Rujira to open a loan, we will detect that. We will tell you what to do in the moment you want to open a loan, because that's kind of the technicality behind it. So you need to secure it. But it's really, really, really easy. Like, this will be a big step forward. It required, Hans is still on that, a lot of changes, because it's basically changing the whole code base, how you handle assets and chains. So it's not a light change, but yeah, just because we're always seeing all these beautiful people giving us input, and then we are incubating over it. And now, yeah, we are making the next big step to this omni-chain experience. So that's what I'm currently most excited about. But yeah, that's really it. I don't know how much
Yeah.
you know about it, but something that comes to mind. Any questions around this as we have you here?
Well, I do have a question, but real quick, you said something very important and you mentioned complexity. Okay. And if there's people who are unfamiliar with our ecosystems, JP could not have said it better. This is so unbelievably complicated. To give you some context on the THORChain side, I think THORChain last night, it's like 600 some odd thousand lines of code. We started back in 2021. It was called Chaos Cent. The first time ever we had real layer one swaps. We have been bleeding out of our eyeballs for like 4 years. Just every problem you can imagine, double spends, consensus failures, gas problems, anything you can imagine, right? But we have been steadily fixing these things, and now THORChain has become rock solid infrastructure. And so what JP is correct is we have to take this complexity and abstract it away. If we have people who want to learn about this, they want to have, just like JP said, they want to have their Bitcoin or whatever it is, they want to know exactly what they can do, they can connect their wallet. So JP, that's my question essentially. Okay, I'm a new user. I'm from whatever thing you want. I have some of these native assets. I want to use them. So is what you're saying is I can come to this omni-chain experience to Rujira. I can connect multiple wallets and basically get all my assets in a very easily understood, like I can aggregate them. So it's very intuitive for me. And then I can use these DeFi primitives with the wallets that I connect. Is that right?
Yeah, basically that's it. So what you do, you'll connect your wallet. You have this unified portfolio view that I think up until now you will only see with stuff like Pulsar, so wallet, not aggregators, but what are portfolio aggregators, portfolio pages, like services that usually only specialize in showing you your balances across wallets. So you have this portfolio view, like the central brain, where you see I have 1 Bitcoin. You do not need to care about where this Bitcoin is, because ultimately you have 1 Bitcoin. Yeah, and if you want to have it over 10 wallets, you can have it over 10 Bitcoin wallets. That's fine, but you will have 1 Bitcoin. Now, then if you want to do any action, this is usually where we saw in the past where people drop out, because there is this complexity to THORChain that you need to understand in order to do something with your asset. Besides swapping it between two, you need to bring it to THORChain. So theoretically, you need to do this, no, not theoretically, you need to do this process called securing. And this is usually where people drop out, because it's this layer of complexity you don't want. And this now going, like once Hans is finished, is fully away, like will be fully abstracted away. So you are going to that borrow platform, to the borrow page. You want to open a loan. You will see I have 1 Bitcoin. All right. So now I will say, okay, I will put in my loan to value, 25%, 20%. I don't know. This is my output. I'm fine. Now I want to open the loan. In our case, let's say we didn't do any securing. You will see, instead of a transaction signing process for opening the loan, there will be just a step. Hey, before you can do that, just please, you wanted to take out a loan against half your Bitcoin, do this deposit about half your Bitcoin. You do it. Once it's done, the window will reopen and you can just sign the transaction for opening your loan. And it's the same thing. You want to send your Bitcoin somewhere else because you wanted to withdraw it from, like repay your loan, withdraw it, send it somewhere else, and we will help you, guide you through that. Like really something that has not been there, but perhaps PM, you have one or two other ideas how to describe this better.
No, I think you describe it really well. It's very much showing the user what they have across all chains, and if you don't have enough balance already as a secured asset to use the asset you want to use, just add an intermediate step where you first prompt them to make a deposit on Rujira as a secured asset, and then move on and do your things. And then you really get this experience that looks very much like a centralized exchange. When you want to use a centralized exchange to take a loan on your Bitcoin or trade or do whatever, you will first send your Bitcoin to the centralized exchange. It would be so an UX that for people familiar with centralized exchange doesn't look like foreign at all. But except that now it will be fully decentralized and transparent. So that's super exciting. I think it's a hard lift. It's a lot of change, but it's really worth it. And I think it will further set us apart in terms of the type of UX we can offer. And nobody else could have done that without THORChain.
Yeah.
It's really the infrastructure, right? I mean, it's so hard to build the infrastructure that we've built. As I mentioned, that's such an important thing for everyone to understand. Like, to get to this point where we're at has taken years of just unbelievable effort to make an infrastructure that's permissionless, no KYC, that anyone can enter, right? That's how you're able to build this thing. If you don't have that infrastructure, if you don't have that base, you don't got anything, right? You'll have a permissioned element. You'll have a centralized form of control. There will be a layer of abstraction from the user where you cannot access, that you don't know what's going on. That's not what we're doing here. Everything is on chain. Everything is auditable. Everything is open source, right? That is so essential for people to understand. This is not like anything that has existed before. This is the next stage. This is the next evolution, the real 0 to 1.
And that's very hard, because you have to understand, of course, you can do that easy if you stay on your local blockchain. If you just build on Ethereum or just build on Solana, inside with just a token supported there, you can do all those things very easily. But that's the issue. Then you are in your own little island, and you are not connected to Bitcoin, you are not connected to Ethereum, you are not connected to all those other chains. And the hard part of THORChain is that it's this hub that aggregates a lot of different blockchains with a lot of different consensus mechanism, like completely different technology to secure those chains and arrive to consensus both after block on what is the state of the world, and different block time as well. And it's aggregate all that in a beautiful way and harmonize all of that, and allows you to have this system where you connect all those native assets. So that's very powerful, and it allows you to access DeFi with all those chains, and not just your local chain, and force you to become a Sol maxi or a base maxi.
And for everyone that is new here, the big question is now, what can you access actually? And I think that's kind of wrapping it up a little bit, giving an outlook of what we are going to discover over the next weeks altogether, which is a variety of DeFi applications, from lending over an on-chain order book, which is super sophisticated, super nice. It's kind of like the heart and brain of everything that's going to happen. Our swap, our launchpad, our AMMs, the strategies that we build around there, the liquidation engine, which is basically I think the biggest exciting feature that we're going to offer, that people are going to flock in to use like there's no tomorrow, because who else will give you the opportunity to fucking buy Bitcoin under the market price and immediately be in profit, right? Like, you can buy the local low if you do it correctly, and you'll immediately be in profit. There is simply no other place that this is going to be offered. So, yeah. And all of this, sorry, Patrick, but that's your point, can be done privately as well, right? So
100%, bro. That's so well said. And I like what Pragmatic Monkey said. Like, he described it as beautiful, and that's what this is. I mean, these are just charts, I understand, guys, but like, once you do the deep dive, once you really understand the effort that would involve, this has been a monumental, unbelievable task of humanity, of people from all across the world who have the similar vision of a free and prosperous world with no more intermediaries. This has been the aggregation of so much hard work and stress and just raw, sheer determination, not only for a better lives for ourselves, but a better lives for our friends, family, our own children. Okay, this is it. This is really the moment where I think we can truly go to the next level. And it's only going to be possible because of THORChain and Rujira working together and coming together to build this amazing engine. And like JP said, the liquidation engine is so huge. I mean, that has been something forever that has been sequestered, right? Now you get to participate. Now anyone gets to participate. You can't describe how important this is, how powerful this is. This is so incredible what has been done here. So if you're learning about this the first time, I encourage you. I know it sounds like hype. I know, I understand. And I am THORChain, and you could think that I have a conflict of interest. Of course, I'm going to speak well. Look, it's open source. Don't believe us. Look for yourself. You can audit the system, check everything. Tell us where we're wrong. That's what you don't. I'll tell you why I think we're right, but tell us where we're wrong. Do that for us, please. Maybe you're right, and we'll fix something. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice slogan. I will adopt that. Tell us where we are wrong is a very powerful statement. And I think one thing that came to my mind during this conversation again is that the cross-chain swap space is starting to get very crowded, very competitive, right? And there's a lot of discussions if you're on Twitter, who's better here, who's better there. And this might be like everybody can have his own opinion here, but I think one thing that we can agree on is that THORChain, together with Rujira, understood that it cannot end with swaps. And that what we are building here is that cross-chain swaps were only the start of what can be real native asset DeFi, and THORChain and Rujira will dominate because it is so incredible difficult, and we are already where we are today. So that's just my personal opinion. The moat here is very big.
I 100% agree with you. Pragmatic, I guess I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get into the detail of these charts because let's keep some.
It's a lot. There'll be more episodes, right? There are more episodes.
Exactly. We'll cover pieces one by one, but the beauty is really like everything is thought to be interconnected. That's also a key differentiator because we control the full stack. All the pieces work together. We have the IMMs that liquidity to the order book, the leverage, all the debt-based products are effectively secured by the liquidation engine. When there is a liquidation, it's executed via market order on the order book. You have the IM strategy that can backstop the liquidation, including the virtualization strategy, which tap into THORChain based layer pool. It's all nicely interconnected, and it creates a type of circular economy where, as long as there is volatility in the crypto market, and there is a lot of that, you get movements of capital. All of that generates a small fee along the way across all those apps, and all this value flow back to Rujira and THORChain. So it's a very elegantly designed system as well. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are also some very cool stuff that will come further down the line in terms of building tools to incentivize retail usage, but also B2B integration with a referral and affiliate system and with Rujira. So we are still at the stage where we build also core primitive. It's a nice acceleration now. We are redesigning also the database to make it token centric instead of chain centric, which is also very huge in terms of improvement in UX. And yeah, little by little we are getting there, and it's super exciting. I very much look forward to what's to come in the future, and also all the expressivity that allows. Yeah, and I'm just like at the moment I'm working on modeling an alternative market making strategy using Oracle orders, which is another core primitive we have, and I'm super excited about that one as well. I think there are a few other like key stuff in the pipe that eventually should lead to a very nice opportunity for users and a very good revenue generation for all Rujira holders. And yeah, just look forward to keep grinding and getting there because it's gonna be good.
I think that's a good point that you brought up. Like, if you are watching this right now, if you are a builder, if you have a wallet, if you have an interface, you can provide this service. And as Pragmatic Monkey said, that this is being worked on right now, where anything we talked about today, anything that we are going to talk about in future episodes, you definitely can plug into that. So please, if you are interested in this, don't delay, don't waste any time. Reach out to Pragmatic Monkey, reach out to JP. You can even reach out to me on Patriot Sounds on X. Let's get a dialogue started. I'll make sure you get all the resources available, whatever you need. We'll make sure we'll get you taken care of, just so you can see what is possible and what we can do. The first step starts with a conversation. This is a revolution right here. I'm trying not to oversell it. I know, but it is what it is. It's open source. So again, tell us where we're wrong. Tell us where we're wrong. That's all I can say. You know what I mean?
I love this slogan. Very good one.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys. Like we promised to this format, or when we will promise in the future, this format will be always under an hour. Preferably when we go into the demos, more like half, because we usually have a lot to talk. But that's why I would say thank you guys for joining, for listening in, and to you, PM and Patriot, for being this wonderful conversation partners, again sharing this vision that we have and the results that we're going to achieve. And yeah, any last words?
Oh, always a pleasure, guys. Let's go.
Yes, we're here to liberate the world. It's not a slogan, it's not cliche, it's the real deal. Let's get it done. So come join us, help us out. Let's go. LFG.
LFG, amazing. And now we just need our head of live stream to say goodbye and shut it down. Goodbye, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye. Ciao.